I head into the dark heart of the Amazon, up a distant tributary of the main river, to see if that tactic changes my luck. Maybe here I'll catch my man-eating Piraiba.
Head down, head down, head down, head down, head down. Ah! Fish on.
Could this be the river monster I'm after? But who'll win this battle? Me or the fish? I'm here in the Amazon, investigating a family of killer catfish.
It's taking line. It's a strong fish, this.
And I think I've hooked a Piraiba.
Come round, I've got to come round, I've got to come round. Got to come round.
The largest catfish species found here.
This is a good sized fish. I haven't seen it yet. Look at that! That is actually not the fish I want. That is a huge red-tailed catfish. I want the white, streamlined, shark-like Piraiba. But this thing, my goodness, this is a good size. This is a very good size. There we go. I mean, these things don't grow, don't get caught much bigger than this, so I'm going to weigh it. Can you read that? Right, this one is 80 pounds, this one. 80 pounds. It's very, very big for a red-tailed catfish. Not an easy fish to live.
Now that this fish is in the boat, it is pumping air, not water, over its gills, creating these strange sounds.
That is a big old catfish, and it's getting me in training for the Piraiba. The only thing is, too many more experiences like this one, and I just won't have any energy for a fish that's bigger than this. And I mean, this thing is just a huge head, huge bony head, tapering off into this leathery body, and a great big wide mouth there. Without any teeth as such, but it's got real good grasping pads.
Unlike a shark that can bite its prey in half, catfish have to swallow it whole. So if they are overly ambitious, they will choke. But this fish has a different problem. Inside its mouth is a parasitic bloodsucker.
Another one here. And that is absolutely engorged with blood. The blood of this poor catfish.
This tiny parasite, the candiru, and this vast predator are both from the mafia-like family of catfish.
This is pretty disgusting. I don't know if I can get hold of it because they're very slippery. Need more fingernails. Okay, look, there we go. So there we go, before and after. This one's fed. This one's still lean and hungry.
And as I'll find out, it's these small guys you have to watch out for, as this parasite is one of the cruelest catfish I'll meet.
There we go. Okay. That was nice to catch that. Not the fish I want, but, you know, that's a real monster in its own right. Awesome. Something down there. Just grab the bait, bent the rod, and then let go. That is a fish on. I think it's coming towards me. What I don't want is the hook to come out like it has been doing. Feels strange. There are people who hook these fish and they're literally on for hours, and it gets dark and they give up and they cut the line.
I've come far too far to give up, so even though my muscles are aching, I carry on.
There's a very fast sort of pulsing to, it's not a throb, 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 throb. This is a big fish. I can only bully to a certain extent. Strong, strong, strong fish, strong fish, strong fish. Ah!
After a struggle of nearly half an hour, I have the better of it.
There it is, that's the fish, there's the fish, there's the fish. Piraiba, it's a Piraiba. Ah! Here we go. This is the one I wanted. This is the Piraiba, the real monster of the Amazon. Fish is growling at me. Oh, a big old mouth on there. Heavy, heavy fish. I can hardly hold this up. My arms are pretty shot anyway. No, I can feel the fish flexing. It's about to kick. Whoa. Oops. And this is the one that people say, when it gets big enough, it goes after people as well. Looks a bit like a shark and it has a reputation to match. This is a big one, but they do go bigger. They do go bigger. This one, I don't know, possibly about 80 pounds. I mean, you know, this is a man-sized fish, but they go bigger than man-sized. They go a size big enough to swallow a man. And a streamlined fish, smooth skin, no scales, but it's a very streamlined catfish. Most catfish are pretty slobby. They mope around on muddy bottoms, but this is a fish of fairly fast current, and I can just feel that muscle flexing. That's a lovely, lovely result. And am I tired? Am I tired? What I've got to do, though, is remember that the fish is as tired as I am. So, although I want to admire it out of the water, I've got to get it back and think of the fish's recovery as well. Oh. Oh. Okay. 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 Oh. 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 And he's gone. What a river monster.
Not to be deterred, I re-tackle and start again.
Right.
And something grabs with such power, it almost pulls me out of the boat.
So I'm just trying to get clear of the motors. There we go. I saw that fish take. I saw it take. Oh.
This time I have the reel's drag wound up even tighter, but it makes for an even more intense, exhausting fight.
Right, let's try and get some line in. I'm hoping it's clear of all coral. And what I'm doing now, I'm just almost heart attack material. Ah, there were several hits. It wasn't as if it was a clean take. It was a knock, a hit. I thought I'd missed it, and then suddenly I'm connected to a heavy weight here. It's pulling down, pulling down, pulling down, pulling down. Here it is, coming to the surface, coming to the surface. There's the leader.
It's a giant trevally.
There it is, oh, it's a big one.
Pound for pound, this is one of the most powerful fish in the sea.
Oh. I saw it grab and then it almost pulled me out the back of the boat when it took off.
It has crushing teeth in its throat, which I can't see, but I can certainly hear them.
It's making a sort of a crunching noise. They don't have particularly big teeth, but they are very predatory. The modus operandi of this fish is to ram its prey with its head before engulfing it.
Driven by powerful muscles, its scythe-like tail gives it the attack speed it needs to stun its prey. The impact force is concentrated through its narrow, bony head. A top-speed underwater strike from one of these beasts could even hit harder than an arapaima, the fish that once knocked me off my feet.
So it's the power rather than the teeth that we're talking about here. And I can just imagine one of these, if it were to ram you in the water, with the power this has got, that is going to hurt, and it could even be fatal.
With my rig built, I team up with skipper Mark Woof. He has years of experience fishing the Breda River. His knowledge will be invaluable if I'm to catch myself a big shark. We head to the spot where the team caught the monster last year. To catch sharks in the Breda River, you first need live bait. This feels good bait size. Very strong.
Oh, there it is.
I only use live bait if I have to, and this is one of those occasions. The sharks in this river will eat nothing else.
I think that's why they're called a grunter. You can hear that noise it makes.
I'm hoping the grunter struggling on the line will have caught the attention of a shark. I transfer it to my heavier gear and get it straight back into the river. All I can realistically do is put a bait in the water and hope an electric eel takes it before something else does.
The thing is, there's loads of predators in these waters, so I've got a bait on the bottom here, but there's lots of other species that could pick it up. There's no way really to single out the electric eel. I know I'm doing the right thing to catch one, but something else could beat it to the bait.
Because I don't want to get a nasty shock when I catch an electric eel, I'm taking some precautions. The nylon line I'm using won't conduct electricity, so I'll be safe while bringing it in. Then, once I get it to the boat, I have a thick pair of rubber boots and gloves, which means I'll be able to handle it without getting shocked. We've attracted a pod of Amazon River dolphins.
You might think that they're going to take a nice tasty dead fish, but actually they have this echolocation ability, which is a bit like X-ray vision, and they know that there's a hook there and they won't take it.
But there's something big down there that hasn't sensed the hook.
Good size fish, good size fish.
Is this the electric eel I've been looking for? Whatever it is, it's putting up a powerful fight.
I don't think this is an electric eel. It's too strong.
The back 4/5 of an electric eel's body is mostly used to produce electricity. It doesn't have the muscle to put up a struggle like this.
Oh yeah, see the bubbles coming up? That's a big red-tailed catfish, big red-tailed catfish.
Out of the water, it gulps in air, blowing it out through its gill flaps.
Got it. This is what they call a pirarara here, which is, well, in English we call it red-tailed catfish, very, very obvious reason. And, I mean, just a wonderful coloration it's got as well. Dark back, this very clear line between the dark and the light. This mottling of brown spots as well. Very strong fish, but it tends to not have the stamina. But, I mean, another thing to remark about this fish, it's about a third of the body is his head, huge head. Very capacious mouth. It's got loads of small teeth, so that's really just for gripping. If it gets a fish that it can't totally inhale all at once, oops, with the muscular jaw and those teeth, it's not going to get away. Look at this. This river is just full of predators. There's a big chunk of fin missing there.
I get the fish back in the water so it can recover before I let it go.
But this proves my point, what I was saying earlier on. You throw a bit of dead fish in this river and there's anything that could take it. It could be an electric eel, that's what I was hoping for, but it could just as likely be one of these red-tailed catfish.
That was a great catch, but unfortunately it's not the fish I'm after. Crucially for me, there is virtually no commercial fishing here. Unlike, say, the Amazon, where you've got a huge commercial fishing fleet that extracts literally tons of fish every day. So if there's one river in the world where you might hope to find a real monster lurking undisturbed in the depths, this is it. This is the end of the line for this boat, and as we pull into a remote fishing village, I get my first sight of a Congo River monster. Anguille? They call them eels. I'm used to eels that are about like that round and maybe 18 inches, 2 foot long. These things, you know, they're the thickness of your leg and maybe getting on for 5 foot. I'll see if we can maybe get one out and have a proper look at one. They're just such weird looking creatures. I'm not going to put my hands in the mouth there. There's some pretty nasty looking fangs in there, and you know, they look sharp. They also look quite dirty and unhygienic. I think I've got an ID on these. I think these are lungfish.
Oui.
That is because this fish actually has an air bladder which is used as a lung, so it can actually breathe out of water. And this is a fish that can bury itself underground and survive droughts. It sort of, I think, belched out a little bit of air, and then there was took some air in, and then belched out of the gills. Small eyes generally on a fish means that, you know, they don't use them much for feeding. They're probably using vibration or scent in the water more than vision to find their food. This was caught on a palm nut, so it suggests, you know, an omnivorous feeder. I mean, that mouth to me looks like it's going to take fish. I'd guess, like a lot of fish around here, you know, it's sort of opportunistic. It'll actually chomp anything that comes its way. But anyway, they call this an eel, and, you know, I have to say it's the most impressive eel that I've ever seen. Lungfish are ancient creatures, predating all animals that walk on land. When I look at a beast like this, Mami Wata no longer seems such a stretch of the imagination. Then I get the news I've been waiting for. A fisherman from the village has caught a decent-sized camber catfish. Okay. Oh, there we go. You can hear the fish actually grunting a little bit. But this is a heavy fish. You know, I don't know. I'm struggling to hold this up. It's probably a good 20 pounds, I think, but it's very, very stocky. I'm just thinking that head is something like a third of the length of the whole body. That's a very big head, very big, very bony. And the mouth is almost, you know, the entire width of the head there. I'm just imagining you got one of these on the line, and suppose it was to give a sudden surge, pull the line out of your hand, and then maybe one of the loose hooks that's in the boat gets caught in you, you lose your balance, you're over the side. Once you're in the water and this thing is pulling you, actually, you know, it doesn't need to be a big fish to keep you under the water. And when you think about it, you've only got, what, 30 seconds of air in your lungs, something like that. It's power, it's strength. You know, it's not inconceivable that a fish even this size could possibly drag somebody to their death. Et dangereuse?
Ouais, c'est vraiment dangereux. Si la poisson est grande, c'est vraiment dangereux pour sortir dans la pirogue.
Getting a big fish in a small, unstable canoe, he says, yeah, that is dangerous. He's never actually been pulled out into the water, but he knows other fishermen that has happened to. I want to get my line in the water at the place where the corpse was found. But finding someone willing to take me there is proving difficult. Push handle. Nada disso, no? No, okay. My perseverance eventually pays off. I find a man who agrees to take me into the kill zone. I'm going to fish in the margins, where big predators often hunt for their prey. Bit of tactics. We're moored at the stern of the boat,
The idea being that if anything takes that tries to get into these sunken trees here, look, it's very snaggy here on the margin, we can quickly get the boat out and pull anything away from the snags. I still don't know what I'm hunting, but I found that fresh bait is always a good bet for tempting killers onto my line. Could whatever this is be capable of breaking bones and killing a man? It's a red-tailed catfish.
That noise is just air being pumped over the gills instead of water. Right.
This one is around 20 pounds, but they can grow much larger. 4 feet long and 5 times as heavy. And there are stories of these grabbing people, normally children, and pulling them under. This could explain what happened to the boy on the beach, a large one grabbing his foot. But they don't have a strong enough bite to cause the injuries I've heard about. There's no way this is actually going to break somebody's bones. It's not going to crush to that extent. Although it's an impressive animal, we can rule it off the suspects list. Travelling down the Zambezi is going to be dangerous. In places, towering gorges squeeze the river into mile after mile of boat-crushing rapids. I'm not taking them on lightly, but this is the only way to find out what's in the water.
Somewhere down there is something that has pulled fishermen under the water to their deaths. And now that I'm seeing this river myself for the first time, I'm starting to have very, very mixed feelings about going to have a closer look.
The thundering rapids of the Batoka Gorge have claimed many lives. Yet grinding poverty means many fishermen have no choice but to try their luck here. 2 years ago, 2 Zimbabwean brothers were fishing in the gorge when one unexpectedly disappeared. Was it an accident, or was something more sinister at work? Before I can even start my investigation, I first have to contend with the rapids. The rapids aren't the only dangers fishermen face in the gorge. Spray makes the banks treacherous, and rocks can hurtle down the cliffs without warning. But the only way to find out what creatures call this place home is to literally test the water.
This is horrendously deep. It's only just touched the bottom. The lime is just sinking for, I don't know, it felt like about half a minute. It's very, very deep here.
So deep, a monster fish could easily hide out without being detected.
This has to be some of the most dramatic scenery I've ever fished in. And as an angler, of course, what you're always aware of is the fact that that continues under the surface. But the thing really here is that this is completely unfamiliar to me, and the only way I'm going to learn about this river is by just getting a bait in a variety of different places and just gradually building up a picture of what the geography is like under the water, and also what the fish life is like under the water.
If you believe the deeper the water, the bigger the fish, then I'm in line for something pretty huge.
So much for the idea that in the deep water, the very deep water, you're always going to find very big fish. This has come out of maybe 70, 80, 90 feet of water.
Perhaps this is the exception that proves the rule. Brown squeaker. It's a small catfish that makes sounds by moving its spiny fins. It can give you a nasty stab, but it's no manhunter. If piranhas this size are at the smaller end of the food chain here, I'm seriously wondering what's at the other end of it. I'll have to keep fishing to find out what tipped the balance of survival against the passengers of the Sobral Santos. For days I followed the relentless coils of this serpentine river northwards, towards the remote border with Venezuela.
I might see the fish in a second.
Finally, a flash of fin at the surface shows I'm dead on target.
This is the pirarara.
More commonly known as the Amazon red-tailed catfish. Its Guarani name comes from the word for fish, pir, and the word for parrot, arara, because the fish's fins look like the plumage of the scarlet macaw.
Out the water they grunt, but also they make this squeaking noise. It's a piece of bone clicking against another piece of bone. And I can only imagine that that is actually for communication underwater. Normally these things live in pretty low vis conditions, hence the feelers, but this gives them another channel of communication to operate on.
Next to its colour, the red-tail's most striking feature is its enormous head, around a third of its total body length.
Wide mouth, very capacious mouth cavity, lots of little teeth that form these sort of sandpapery pads. So one here, one in the lower jaw. It's very good for gripping prey, anything they get hold of. As you can see my finger, it's sort of rasped my finger there.
But I still have too many unanswered questions to condemn the red-tail just yet. If these predators were involved, exactly what role did they play? I know they can grow to a size where they could easily engulf half a human leg, and I felt more than enough power to pull someone under. But what is it about the way they operate that could both account for the carnage and so many people wiped out so quickly, so near the shore? I wonder if, like wolves, the fish I'm after are nocturnal hunters. So I continue fishing into the night, but it's too risky to move around. There are too many hazards and dangers that could send me into the dark water. So I change tactics and stick to the shore. I'm fishing with a big bait cast into the stream. Fish on. But it's just another monster piranha.
It's supposed to be asleep now, but there's always one. Always one. Yeah.
It's November, and the rainy season is fast approaching. Carbon fibre rods make excellent lightning conductors. I don't know how long I can stay out here. Luckily, something picks up the bait. It feels big, much bigger than anything I've hooked so far. The question is, do I have one on the end of my line?
Okay. Right, that's a new species for here. That's a red-tailed catfish.
The local name for these fish is the Motro Tijali,
Right.
which translates as motor car on account of all the noises they make when out of the water.
Oops. Red-tailed catfish. It's another species that's active at night. Not what I was after, but that's quite interesting just to see a bit of variety here. It's a familiar species to me, but in a different part of South America. Bit of excitement, but the wrong kind of excitement.
So what could launch such an assault? This is the spot where Carrie was attacked. I'm not seeing any movement up on the surface, but I have brought a rod with me. That is my eyes really to look under the water. Looking at these mangrove roots either side of me, that is the perfect place for a little tiny fish fry to hide out. But it's also just the kind of place that's going to attract a predator in after those, and that's what I've come looking for. There might have been something on there. This is a plastic imitation shrimp. And it's weighted, it sinks to the bottom. What I'm doing is I'm letting it sink down and then I'm twitching it along close to the bottom. Yes, my first bite. Mangrove snapper. This is a predator, you can see the teeth. One of these, though, isn't going to break anybody's ribs, but it's proof that there are predators in here after the small stuff.
What's very interesting and also quite frightening about what just happened is that a tuna is supremely adapted to living in this water. It's very fast, it's very powerful, and in the ordinary course of events, it can keep out of the way of sharks, generally speaking, but as soon as that's in a little bit of trouble, it's on a fishing line, and even though it's on that line, it's still travelling at speed. It's actually easy prey for the shark. So a person in the water, if the shark was so inclined, if a tuna can't get out of the way, then you're not going to.
The Laconia was hit at around 8 p.m. and sank by 9:30, leaving its stranded passengers with a full night of horror ahead.
Here on the equator, you don't get long evenings. It gets dark very quickly, sort of 7 o'clock-ish, something like that. And now, 9:30, pitch dark, has been for a couple of hours.
I'm using pieces of tuna that I'm going to send down to the bottom. I'm hoping this might at least bring evidence of a cookie cutter. The Atlantic at night is eerily quiet, and apart from the small pool of light from our boat, pitch black.
I can't help but make the connection between this boat and the Laconia, and also this time of night. This is about the time of night that the boat went down, and those hundreds of people ended up in this water.
Now it's just about keeping alert and feeling for a movement on my line. The movement, when it comes, almost pulls me in.
That's quite a rapid tail beat on that. Yeah, this feels quite heavy. It's interesting. It's actually coming up quite quickly. So here we go. Wow. So this This is a horse-eye jack. Took down there in about 300 foot of water.
These are sometimes known as big-eyed jacks. They see well in the dark and at depths. They probably share nighttime territory with the cookie cutter, but there are no bite marks to suggest that this one has had an encounter.
Okay, gonna put this back.
I must keep my eyes on the prize. A man-sized lau lau. After resting up into late afternoon, I head back to the rock where I lost the fish just a few days ago. The water has definitely dropped.
Oh, there's something, there's something, there's something, there's something, there's something. Deceptive amount of line out here. That's a good sign. First cast. Fish has woken up. All right, there's the leader in sight. That's red-tailed catfish. Well, I'm hoping that's not just a one-off. That's almost like the switch has been thrown. Incredible to get a take on the first cast. It's just blowing air out the gills. And that clicking noise, the squeak, is the pectoral fin. It's a small red-tailed catfish, but it's activity. There's finally some activity here. Not a huge fish, but could be quite a good sign. That's a very big skate, isn't it?
That is a Norwegian skate.
It's a Norwegian skate.
This bizarre creature of the